I threw a 40 bottle through my neighbor's window. Of course, this is Talks with Tom. Could be a movie script, could be a real story. I lived in a party house my senior year of college at Bowling Green State University, and I was in a fraternity. I won't say which one. Could have been Teak, Rush Teak. And we lived next to two other party houses of fraternities off campus our senior year. We'll call them the Pikes and the Fijis. If you look up the Pikes from BGSU, I really don't need to say anything else about the quality of people they were. And then we had the Fijis next to us, and the Fijis and Teak were actually extremely similar fraternities, very mid-level. But the difference is Teak was very like keep to ourselves, do our own thing. Fiji was very, we're not mid. We're gonna show you we're not mid. We're so not mid, bro. We're so cool. Honestly, I had no problem living next to two other fraternities, but I am not the type of person to bring problems to the function. I'm not the type of person to beef with people. But if you do me wrong or you do any one of mine wrong, as far as my friends and family go, if you bring a problem to me or mine, then we have a fucking problem. And that was very much what had happened with our neighbors is we had had beef with the Pikes, which is all story for another day. But us and Fiji up to this point had been pretty cool. And then one day we came home from a break from school or a long weekend, but there's a small lake in our backyard. And again, you're broke college kids. So if your water's been running outside at your spigot for 4 or 5 days, that's a significant bill that you're going to have to pay as a college student. Our backyard is a small lake. We see these muddy footprints that literally go over to our fence, hop the fence, and go into the Fiji's back door of their house. So we confront them about it. Obviously, they have no idea what we're talking about. And we let it go, but it was one of those things. We were the house in between two other party houses, and I was just pissed. Like, people were constantly fucking with our house and doing shit to our cars and stuff. Like, it was costing us a significant amount of money. We are having I think it was a Valentine's Day formal type of party at our off-campus house, and me and this kid, we'll call him Dirty Mike, we're in the backyard with our 40 bottles pissing. I'm telling him about all this beef we've had with our neighbors and how they're just not man enough to fucking admit that they did shit. And he's like, man, fuck those guys. And he chucks his 40 bottle onto their roof. And it was a snowy night. Like, nothing happened. It bounced on their roof and it fell off. It didn't even break. It just landed in the snow. And I'm like, yeah, Mike, fuck those guys. So I go to throw my bottle after I had finished pissing. And I'm going to be honest, they had this little garage. They had this little 2-car garage in the back of their house. And I went to throw my bottle. And honest to God, no one will ever probably believe this, but I'm aiming at the roof. And it just slips out of my hands. Just went to crank that up on the roof while I slipped a little bit. It slips out of my hands, and it goes right through their window in their backyard. And the 40 bottle just shatters right through the window like a beeline baseball. It makes this massive shattering sound. Of course, me and Dirty Mike are laughing our asses off, and we go running back into my house. It felt like a movie scene. We run in the back door into the kitchen, and the front door that we can see just barely from the kitchen swings open, and there's another kid in my fraternity. We'll make up names. We'll call him Ben. Ben comes running in from the front door, and he's like, we like immediately made eye contact. He probably saw like the little shit look on my face, but he's like, what was it? I heard it, Tom. What was it? And I'm like, oh boy. So we huddle up and go out to the front porch. Well, me and Dirty Mike are telling Ben what happened, and he's laughing his ass off, and it kind of became like our little inside joke of the night that we got to hee-haw about or whatever. And 2 hours pass, and I've got to piss again. And just so happens that I look at Dirty Mike, and he's like, you got pissed, Tom? I'm like, yeah, I do. So we go off the front porch, and we walk down the street to this big courthouse parking lot, because in Bowling Green, there was this big courthouse that was like right by a lot of the off-campus party houses at the time. And this was a long time ago, so I don't even know if any of this stuff is still accurate. The parking lot wraps back around to the back entrance of all the party houses that we are living at. I look at Dirty Mike, and I'm like, you want to go piss on the Pikes cars? And he's like, yeah, it's like a 20-degree night, so our piss will probably freeze all over their cars, right? Like, let's do it. So we jog over, and we're pissing, and I'm pissing on one of their cars. I look over, and Dirty Mike has popped open one of the gas tanks, and he starts pissing into their gas tank. And I'm like, you know what? I agree. So I pop open the other one, and we're pissing in their gas tanks, giggling like a couple idiots. And then we see someone flash a light on and go like they're walking towards us, and we take off down the road and loop around so it looks like we're going to a different house, and ran back into our party house, and that was the night. But I'm telling you, like that type of stuff was just so funny, and I don't think a lot of people will ever understand like the things like fraternity beef or random, intoxicated destruction that happens when you're in college or just that age is you have to just go through it. There's no if you're going to be in that environment, things like that are going to happen. Sometimes they happen to you, sometimes you're the one doing them, sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't. But I think like that's the part of our culture as America that a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm not making excuses for destruction or, I guess you could say immoral activities, but like a lot of the times it's just not that deep, and I think a lot of people blow stages of development and growth as a human being into this category of like, oh, we're raising a generation of degenerates and destructive people. And it's like, that's not what it is at all. Like everybody at different ages of life, you live and learn. And those lessons are different. And sometimes they're a lot tougher for some people than others, but it's just part of life. And, you know, for me and my buddies, like honestly, living in a party house our senior year of college was exhausting. But I think really like I'm sure again, I'm saying I'm sure a lot of people have had a lot harder things to do than live in a college party house, but it was exhausting for me and my buddies. Like, you're barely making enough money to keep the lights on and pay all your bills as a college student. And then every weekend, you're opening up your doors for people to just come in and trash your house. And then you got to do it again every single weekend. So, I think it was a ton of fun. And I've got so many stories and memories with those guys that I'll never forget. But I think the realest part about being in a party house with people and living, especially the guys that you live with, is you really are in the trenches in a social setting. Like your house, you got cops, you got destruction of property, fighting, like you've got shit going on all the time. And you just have to kind of learn to live with it and roll with it. Like every single day, something's probably going to come up and it's going to be ridiculous, but we're going to deal with it together and we'll figure it out. And I think for me, the guys that I lived in my party house with up in BG, like they will be my friends to this day. And we don't talk every day. We don't see each other all the time just because, life takes you in different directions and we all live pretty far away. But when we do get together, you pick up right where you left off. And for me, I'm not saying I'm some wise, deep human being by any means, but for me, I've always been super appreciative of the friends that I've had over the years because regardless of how long it's been since we've seen each other, the people that I truly consider friends in my life, it's like when we get together, we pick up right where we left off. It doesn't matter if it's been a few days, a few years, a few months. It's like we never were apart. And I think to me, that's the gauge of a true, genuine friendship is when you can not talk to somebody every day or not see someone for a while. And when you get together, it's just great times and you get to pick up right where you left off because that person has seen the most true version of you. And I just think in our society today with social media and the way that everything goes, you just don't get to see the true, genuine sides of people anymore. And that's kind of why I talk the way that I do on here is like, obviously from like a legal and from a legal standpoint and just for the sake of my buddies, I don't like to say names or ever confirm if a story is real or fake, but I do really cherish the time that I get to spend with my friends and my family. And I think and when you can slow down and take the time to do that, it just makes everything really fun and enjoyable. It's like when you are with your friends, regardless of what's on your mind, regardless of what you're going through, if you can kind of just let that stuff go and just be present with the people that you're with and make the most of the moment, that seems to be when I have the best times and when I think the best memories are made. So that would be my recommendation to everyone on here. I'm not saying you got to go out of your way to hang out with people or hang out with people that you don't enjoy or do things that you don't enjoy. But when you do take the time to be with your friends or your family, whoever you enjoy hanging out with, like just be present and make the most of it because that's usually when you get the best results, in my opinion. So that's today's episode here on Talks with Tom. Maybe we did throw some 40 bottles. Maybe we pissed. I don't know. Could be a movie script, could be a real story, but it's one of my favorites. So we'll be back with more episodes soon. I hope everybody's well. Talk to Tom.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get easier? I'll be up and away up the street getting paid, but I can't even breathe no more. What's it to me? What can I see? Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more.
I threw